At 24, Emma was seeking an opportunity that could change her life. With a childhood marked by difficulties and few financial prospects, she found a job as a caregiver for the elderly. This work, though challenging, represented a chance for a better future. Emma was assigned to care for John Thompson, a paralyzed millionaire whose life seemed trapped in a limited routine. From the first day, Emma showed unparalleled dedication, always with a smile on her face and evident affection in every gesture. John, on the other hand, was a man of few words. Used to solitude and the indifference of the employees around him, he didn't expect much from the young caregiver. However, Emma was not discouraged by the initial lack of reciprocity. She understood that behind that hard facade, there was a story and pain that needed to be respected. Every day, she strove to bring a bit of normality to John's life, organizing his care routines and trying to introduce small activities that could cheer him up. In the mornings, Emma prepared a strong, aromatic coffee, always carefully made, knowing it was one of the few pleasures John could still enjoy. Sitting beside him, she described the sunny day outside, the flowers in the garden, and anything else that might evoke a smile on the old man's face. "It's especially beautiful outside today, Mr. John. Maybe one day we can enjoy the garden together?" she suggested hopefully. But John just nodded without much enthusiasm. Emma also dedicated herself to learning more about her employer's tastes and stories. Between tasks, she found time to organize the books on the shelf, hoping to discover more about the man who was now her responsibility. "I see you like history, Mr. John. Maybe one day you can tell me about your favorite reads?" she ventured, trying to break the ice. The response was always a contemplative silence, but Emma did not give up. Gradually, the daily routine began to create a sort of rhythm between them. Emma learned to interpret John's small gestures and expressions, understanding his needs before he could express them. And despite the apparent resistance, John began to notice the young woman's genuine dedication. "You are different, Emma," he said once, surprising her. "Thank you, Mr. John. I just want to do my best for you," she replied sincerely. Each day was a new challenge, and she knew the road would not be easy, but she was determined to make a difference in John's life. And somehow, John also began to open up, albeit subtly. It was the beginning of a silent transformation that promised to change both their lives forever. One morning, while preparing coffee, Emma heard John muttering something about the books on the shelf. "Do you like to read, Mr. John?" she asked, trying to start a conversation. To her surprise, he responded with a brief, "Yes." That single word was a small breakthrough. Emma seized the opportunity and began talking about her own interests in literature, mentioning a few books she had read recently. "I love losing myself in the pages of a good book. And you, what's your favorite?" John, who usually remained silent, looked at her for a moment before responding. "History. I've always liked history." Emma smiled, feeling she had finally found common ground. "History is fascinating. Do you have a favorite historical period?" she asked, eager to keep the conversation going. John briefly mentioned his interest in World War II, leading to a deeper discussion on the topic. Gradually, the barriers began to fall. Emma discovered that John was a former history professor with vast experience and knowledge. This detail explained a lot about his reserved personality and his love for books. "I always wanted to have a teacher like you, someone who truly understands and lives history," said Emma, genuinely impressed. John, in turn, seemed to appreciate the curiosity and respect that Emma showed. Their daily conversations became an essential part of their routine. Emma made a point of bringing new topics and books to discuss with John, who gradually became more receptive and engaged. "You know, Emma, it's been a long time since I talked to anyone about these subjects. It's nice to have someone interested around," he admitted one day. Emma felt warmth in her heart upon hearing those words. "It's an honor for me, Mr. John. I learn a lot from you." Emma's dedication began to have an effect. John was no longer the grumpy and lonely old man. He started to look forward to the mornings when Emma arrived with his coffee and a new story to tell. "Today I brought a book about ancient Greece. I thought you might like it," she said, handing him the book. John took the volume with a slight smile. "You really know how to please an old historian, Emma," The household staff, who previously ignored John, began to notice the change in his behavior. There was a new energy in the air, a sense of hope and renewal. Emma had achieved what many deemed impossible, transforming John's life through simple acts of kindness and patience. "You have a gift, Emma. A true gift," John said one time, revealing a rare moment of vulnerability. "Thank you, Mr. John. I just want your well-being," she replied, moved. Over time, the relationship between Emma and John strengthened. One quiet afternoon, while organizing the books on the shelf, Emma found an album of old photographs. "Mr. John, I found some photos here. Would you like to take a look?" she asked, curious to know more about John's past. He nodded, and Emma sat beside him, carefully opening the album. The photos revealed a young John, full of life and enthusiasm, in various situations. As a teacher in a classroom, on trips, and with friends. "This was an incredible trip to Italy," John commented, pointing to a photo of himself in front of the Colosseum. Emma was fascinated. "You've had so many wonderful experiences. Tell me more about this trip," she requested, eager to hear his stories. John began to share his memories with Emma, and she listened attentively, as if each word were a precious treasure. He spoke about his adventures as a history teacher, his travels around the world, and the numerous students he inspired over the years. "I always believed that teaching history was more than conveying information. It was about awakening curiosity and a love for knowledge," he explained, his eyes shining with the memory. Emma was enchanted by John's stories and wisdom. "You have such a rich and wise life. I feel privileged to hear all this," she said sincerely. John smiled, touched by Emma's admiration. "And I feel lucky to have someone like you to share these memories with," he replied emotionally. Their afternoons of sharing memories became a ritual. Emma would bring tea and cookies, and John would get lost in his recollections, telling stories that ranged from his first classes to his most recent trips. "This photo is of my last group of students. They were really special to me," John said, holding a picture of a smiling class. Emma could feel the love and pride he had for his students. "They were certainly lucky to have a teacher like you," she commented with a smile. With each story, Emma learned more about the man behind the reserved facade. John, who once seemed distant and inaccessible, now revealed himself as a complex and fascinating human being, full of experiences and wisdom. "You know, Emma, teaching was my passion, but life has a way of surprising you. I never thought I would find a new friend at this stage of my life," he said with a light laugh. Emma smiled, feeling increasingly connected to him. "And I never thought I would find such an incredible mentor," she replied. This exchange of stories enriched their relationship in a profound way. John became a father figure to Emma, offering advice and life lessons that she cherished. "Always remember, Emma, life is too short not to be lived intensely. Enjoy every moment because they are what make our story," he once said. These words were etched in Emma's heart, reinforcing her determination to live fully. The shared memories not only strengthened their friendship but also brought new meaning and purpose to John's life. He found in Emma not just a caregiver, but a true friend and confidant. And Emma, in turn, discovered a mentor who inspired her to be better every day. Their bond was now indestructible, and both knew that this special friendship had the power to transform their lives forever. One morning, while Emma was making coffee, John seemed more thoughtful than usual. After a long silence, he finally broke the ice. "Emma, I need to tell you something," he said in a serious tone. Emma approached, sensing that something important was about to be revealed. "Of course, Mr. John. What happened?" she asked with concern. John took a deep breath and began to talk about an old cafe with a library that he used to frequent. "It was a special place for me. I spent many happy moments there," he explained, his eyes lost in memories. Emma listened attentively, understanding the importance of what he was sharing. "I would like to visit that cafe one last time," John said with a pleading tone. Emma hesitated for a moment, worried about John's fragile health, but decided that fulfilling his wish was the least she could do for him. "Let's do it, Mr. John. I'll take care of everything," she promised with determination. In the following days, Emma organized all the details for the visit to the cafe. She made sure that John would be comfortable and safe during the outing. "Are you sure you want to do this, Mr. John?" she asked, seeking to confirm his decision. "Yes, Emma. That place means a lot to me," he responded firmly. Emma knew that this request came from the bottom of his heart and was determined to make it a reality. On the day of the visit, Emma helped John prepare with great care. She chose a special outfit for him and ensured he was comfortable and well-warmed. "Are you ready, Mr. John?" she asked with an encouraging smile. "More than ever," he replied, with a sparkle in his eyes that Emma had never seen before. John's determination inspired her, and she felt that the day would be unforgettable. The arrival at the cafe was marked by a wave of nostalgia. John, his eyes gleaming, observed every detail of the place, from the wooden tables to the shelves filled with old books. "It's exactly as I remembered," he said, his voice choked with emotion. Emma pushed John's wheelchair to a table near the window, where the sunlight softly entered, creating a cozy atmosphere. "Let's sit here, Mr. John. It seems like a good place to relive memories," she suggested. The cafe staff immediately recognized John and treated him with kindness and respect. "Mr. Thompson, it's a pleasure to see you again," exclaimed one of the attendants, visibly moved. John smiled, feeling welcomed and cherished. "It's good to be back," he replied, with a gleam of satisfaction in his eyes. Emma watched everything with a smile on her face, happy to see John so animated and involved. As they savored coffee and some snacks, John began to share more stories from his youth. "This was our meeting spot. My friends and I would spend hours here, discussing everything and nothing at the same time," he recounted, laughing at the memories. Emma was fascinated by every detail. "It must have been a wonderful time, Mr. John. I can imagine the conversations and laughter," she said, enchanted. With each story, Emma could see the joy and vigor returning to John's face. He spoke about his first date with his wife, which also happened there. "It was here that I first saw her. She was reading a book, and I knew I had to meet her," he said, with a nostalgic smile. Emma was moved by the tenderness in John's voice. "Your love must have been incredible," she commented, with tears in her eyes. "It was Emma. She was the light of my life," he replied with a deep sigh. The moments in the cafe were filled with emotions and revelations. John opened up in a way Emma had never seen before, sharing even the deepest secrets of his soul. "This place holds so many stories, Emma. Every corner has a memory, a laugh, a tear," he said, contemplating the surroundings. Emma felt the depth of John's words and realized the importance of that visit for him. When it was time to leave, John seemed reluctant to go. "I wish I could stay here forever," he said with a melancholic look. Emma gently squeezed his hand. "We can always come back, Mr. John. This place will always be here for us," she assured him with a comforting smile. John nodded, grateful for Emma's understanding and support. Back in the car, as they returned home, John expressed his gratitude. "Emma, today you gave me an invaluable gift. Reliving these memories brought back a part of me that I thought was lost," he said, his eyes filled with tears. Emma felt her heart warm with those words. "It was an honor, Mr. John, and know that I will always be here for you, every step of the way," she replied with firmness and affection. The days following the visit to the cafe brought a new energy for John and Emma. They frequently talked about the memories they had shared and made plans for other small outings. Emma noticed that John was more animated and engaged. "Emma, I need to tell you something. I heard that the cafe is going through difficulties and is at risk of closing. I would like to go there again. I feel there are still more stories to relive there," he suggested one evening. Emma readily agreed. "Let's go tomorrow, Mr. John. I'll prepare everything," she replied with a confident smile. The next morning, Emma prepared John with the same care and affection as before. She knew how much that visit meant to him. "Everything is ready, Mr. John. Let's have another special day," she said, adjusting his scarf. John nodded, visibly excited. The trip to the cafe was smooth, with John reminiscing about more stories from his youth. "Every time we go there, it's like I go back in time," he commented with a nostalgic smile. At the cafe, they were warmly welcomed by the staff, who were already familiar with John's presence. "Good to see you again, Mr. Thompson," exclaimed one of the attendants with a sincere smile. John returned the smile and settled into his favorite table by the window. Emma ordered their usual coffee and sat beside him, ready for another afternoon of stories and laughter. "Today I have a special story to tell, Emma," John began, his eyes gleaming. But in the middle of one of the stories, John suddenly stopped talking and clutched his chest with an expression of intense pain. Emma panicked. "Mr. John, what's happening?" she asked, trying to stay calm. John couldn't respond. His breathing was labored and irregular. Emma quickly called an ambulance and tried to comfort him. "Hold on, Mr. John. Help is on the way," she said, gripping his hand tightly. The following moments were a whirlwind of emotions. The medical team arrived quickly and took John to the hospital. Emma followed closely, feeling helpless and desperate. At the hospital, she waited anxiously for news, praying that John would be okay. "He's strong. He'll make it," she repeated to herself, trying to calm her racing heart. Hours later, a doctor approached Emma with a grave expression. "I'm sorry to inform you, but Mr. Thompson didn't make it," he said, his voice heavy with sadness. Emma felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Tears streamed freely as she tried to process the loss. "No, it can't be," she whispered, feeling a deep and cutting pain. John had become a vital part of her life, and now he was gone. The following days were a blur of sadness and longing for Emma. She returned to John's house, feeling the emptiness left by his absence. "I'm so sorry, Mr. John," she said through tears. John had left an indelible mark on her life, and Emma knew she needed to honor his legacy somehow. Days after John's death, the house was quiet and empty, a constant reminder of Mr. John's absence. Emma was tidying up the office when the lawyer entered. With a racing heart, Emma listened to what was about to be revealed. He explained that John had left specific instructions for Emma to receive a letter and something more. "Emma, Mr. Thompson trusted you deeply. He left something very special for you," said the lawyer. Emma carefully opened the envelope and found a letter, handwritten by John. "Dear Emma," the letter began, "if you are reading this, it means I am no longer there to thank you personally for everything you did for me. Your dedication and affection brought light to my last days. I leave you something that was very important to me, the cafe where we spent such special moments." Emma could hardly believe what she was reading. John had left the cafe to her. Along with the cafe, John had also left a guidebook that contained all the necessary information to manage the establishment. "This book contains everything you need to know to keep the cafe running. I trust that you will do a great job, just as you did taking care of me," said the letter. Emma felt a mixture of emotion and responsibility. "Mr. John, I promise I will do my best," she murmured, tears streaming down her face. John's letter continued with a personal message. "Emma, you are a special person. I hope this inheritance can help you achieve your dreams. The cafe has always been a place of happiness and community for me, and I know you can continue this legacy." Emma felt the weight of the mission John had entrusted to her, but also immense gratitude for his belief in her. "I will make it worthwhile, Mr. John. I promise to honor your memory," she said, determined. From that moment, Emma knew her life would change forever. She would face challenges, but she was determined to overcome each one. With the guidebook in hand, she began planning the restructuring of the cafe. "It won't be easy, but I will succeed," she thought, feeling a new strength emerge within her. John's words echoed in her mind, giving her the courage to move forward. Emma visited the cafe again, this time with a different perspective. Now, she was the owner and had a huge responsibility on her shoulders. "Let's make this work," she said to herself as she walked through the place. She began taking notes, thinking about how she could improve the environment and attract more customers. Every corner of the cafe brought a memory of John, but also an incentive to continue. Returning home, Emma spent the night planning and studying the guidebook John had left. "If Mr. John believed in me, I can believe in myself too," she repeated to herself. The mission was clear, and Emma was ready to face it with the same determination and resilience she had always shown. Determination and courage were qualities Emma always had, but managing a cafe brought challenges she had never imagined. With the cafe under her responsibility, Emma soon realized that the financial situation was not the best. John's savings had been enough to keep the cafe going until then, but new investments were needed to revitalize the place. "I need to find a way to make this work," she thought, feeling the weight of responsibility. Emma spent days reviewing the accounts, trying to better understand the cafe's financial situation. Every number, every expense was analyzed meticulously. "If I cut here and adjust there, maybe I can balance the finances," she murmured, while making detailed notes. With every new financial obstacle that arose, Emma felt the pressure increase, but her determination never wavered. "This is for Mr. John. I will succeed," she repeated to herself. Emma's first step was to reduce costs wherever possible. She negotiated with suppliers, seeking better prices and payment terms. "We need quality ingredients, but also fair prices," she argued with firmness and diplomacy. At the same time, she started thinking of ways to attract more customers to the cafe, knowing that increasing revenue was crucial for the business's success. "We need to be creative," she thought with a determined look. To attract more customers, Emma decided to organize weekly events at the cafe. "Poetry nights, reading sessions, and live music can bring more activity," she suggested, excited about the possibilities. She created an event calendar and started promoting it on social media and within the local community. "We need to make people feel a part of this place, just as Mr. John always wanted," she explained, sharing her vision with the team. Despite her efforts, the first few months were extremely difficult. The customer base was irregular, and Emma had to use some of her personal savings to keep the cafe running. "It's just a tough phase. We will get through this," she told herself, trying to maintain optimism. Each day was a battle, but she refused to give up. The image of John, his smile, and his encouraging words were always present in her mind, giving her the strength to continue. The financial pressure led Emma to even consider selling some of her personal belongings. "If necessary, I will do it," she thought with a lump in her throat. But the idea of giving up the cafe never crossed her mind. "This place is a legacy, and I will do everything to keep it alive," she vowed, looking around the empty cafe on a Sunday afternoon. The difficulties were immense, but the mission John had entrusted to her was even greater. Emma began seeking help through online courses in business management and finance. "I need to equip myself to do this right," she decided, enrolling in several courses and attending webinars. With each new lesson, she felt more prepared to face the challenges. "Knowledge is power, and I will use it to save the cafe," she thought as she studied late into the night. Despite the financial challenges, Emma never lost hope. She knew she was on the right path and that, with perseverance and hard work, she could turn the cafe into a success. While Emma was dedicated to overcoming the financial challenges of the cafe, she met Jack, a man with extensive experience in business management. The encounter happened unexpectedly at one of the weekly events Emma had organized. Jack, intrigued by the activity at the cafe, decided to step in and see what was going on. "This place has a special energy," he thought as he observed the cozy and welcoming atmosphere. Emma was busy serving customers when Jack approached. "Are you the owner of the cafe?" he asked with a friendly smile. "Yes, I'm Emma. Can I help you?" she replied, curious about his interest. Jack explained that he was impressed by the atmosphere of the place and, after learning more about the cafe's history, decided to offer his help. "I have experience in business management, and I believe I can contribute to the success of this place," he said sincerely. Initially, Emma was skeptical. Why would someone with so much experience be interested in helping a small cafe like ours? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Jack smiled, understanding her hesitation. "I enjoy challenges, and besides, I feel this place has enormous potential. I want to help you transform it," he explained with conviction. Emma, still cautious, decided to give Jack a chance, feeling it could be a good opportunity. The first days of working together were a period of adaptation and learning. Jack analyzed the cafe's finances and suggested various improvements. "We need to optimize costs and increase efficiency," he said while showing Emma some spreadsheets. "If we follow this plan, we can balance the finances in a few months," he affirmed confidently. Emma, though unsure, began to realize that Jack's ideas made sense and could really help. Jack also brought new ideas to attract more customers. "Let's create a loyalty program and partnerships with local businesses. This can increase customer traffic and improve revenue," he suggested. Emma was impressed by Jack's strategic vision. "I never thought of that. It sounds like a great idea," she said, excited about the possibilities. Together, they began to implement the changes, and results slowly started to appear. With each passing day, Emma's trust in Jack grew. He proved to be not only an excellent manager but also a loyal and dedicated friend. "You have a natural talent for management, Emma. You just need a little guidance," Jack praised as they worked together on another strategy. Emma felt encouraged by his words and motivated to keep doing her best. Over time, the partnership between Emma and Jack strengthened. They began spending more time together, discussing plans and ideas for the cafe. "You have an incredible vision for this place, Jack. I'm truly grateful for your help," Emma said one evening after closing the cafe. Jack smiled, satisfied with the progress they were making. "It's a pleasure working with you, Emma. Together, we will make this place a success," he responded confidently. Their bond grew, transforming into a deep friendship and eventually into a romance. Emma found in Jack not only a business partner but also someone she could trust and rely on. "We're in this together, Jack. And I know we're going to succeed," she said, holding his hand. Jack nodded with a smile of complicity. "Absolutely, Emma. This cafe will be a legacy for Mr. John and for everyone who believes in us." With Jack's help, the cafe began to prosper impressively. The changes implemented started to take effect, attracting a loyal and growing clientele. "The weekly events were an absolute success," Emma remarked, observing the full house on a poetry night. "You had a great idea, Emma. Let's keep innovating," replied Jack with a satisfied smile. To make the environment even more inviting, Jack suggested some improvements to the cafe's decor. "Let's add more lights and plants. This will create a cozier atmosphere," he said, showing Emma some sketches. Emma agreed, feeling that these small changes could make a big difference. "I love the idea. Let's transform this place into a true refuge," she affirmed enthusiastically. The renewed atmosphere of the cafe began to attract a diverse audience. Students, artists, and families started frequenting the place, creating a vibrant community. "This place is coming to life," observed a customer, pleased with the change. Emma and Jack felt fulfilled seeing the cafe flourish. "We're on the right path, Emma. John would be proud of us," said Jack with an emotional look. "Yes, he would," agreed Emma, feeling deep gratitude. Besides the physical improvements, Emma and Jack also invested in the quality of the menu. "Let's introduce new dishes and special drinks," suggested Emma while they tried new recipes. "I agree. Let's offer something unique that can only be found here," added Jack. Together, they created a menu that reflected the essence of the cafe. Welcoming, innovative, and full of flavor. The customers loved the new items, and word of mouth quickly increased the foot traffic. To maintain community engagement, Emma and Jack decided to host monthly themed events. Italian night, jazz festival, game afternoons. "Let's diversify," proposed Jack. Emma loved the idea and began planning the details. "Let's create memorable experiences for our customers," she said excitedly. The themed events became a great success, attracting more people and establishing the cafe as a cultural meeting point in the city. The partnership between Emma and Jack kept growing. They worked tirelessly together, each bringing their skills and talents to the table. "You have an incredible vision for business, Jack. I've learned so much from you," said Emma during a meeting. "And you have a passion and dedication that are inspiring, Emma. We make a great team," he replied with a smile. The The cafe's growth also brought new opportunities. Emma and Jack started considering the possibility of expanding the business. "We could open a branch in another part of the city," suggested Jack. Emma was excited about the idea but wanted to ensure that the essence of the original cafe was preserved. "Let's do this carefully. This place is special, and we want each new cafe to be just as welcoming," she said. "I completely agree, Emma. Let's continue honoring Mr. John's legacy with every step we take," replied Jack, determined. With the cafe's success growing, Emma and Jack were closer than ever. One day, as they were closing the cafe after an event, Jack decided to share something important with Emma. "Emma, I need to tell you something. Something I've been keeping since we first met," he said with a serious tone. Emma looked at him, surprised and curious. "What is it, Jack?" she replied with a look of curiosity. Jack took a deep breath and began to reveal his secret. "I met John many years ago. He was my history professor at university and a great mentor to me," he said, watching Emma's reaction. "He never mentioned this," she said, astonished. "I understand why you cared so much about the cafe, but why didn't you tell me before?" Emma was intrigued and a bit hurt that he had hidden something so significant. "John asked me not to tell you, at least not right away. He wanted you to trust me for who I am, not because of my past with him," Jack explained, trying to calm Emma. "When I found out he had left the cafe to you, I felt I needed to help. He asked me to look after you and ensure the cafe thrived," he continued, his eyes filled with emotion. "That's why I came here." Emma was silent for a moment, processing the information. "So all this was planned? John really thought of every detail," she said, amazed at the depth of John's plan. "Yes, he cared a lot about you, Emma. He wanted to ensure you had all the support you needed to move forward. He just didn't anticipate that we would fall in love," Jack replied. Emma felt a mix of emotions, but admiration and gratitude for both John and Jack prevailed. "You really care about this cafe as much as I do," Emma said, finally understanding the extent of Jack's commitment. "Yes, Emma, and I care about you too," Jack said, holding her hand. "John knew what he was doing by bringing us together. Together, we can honor his memory and continue his legacy," he affirmed with determination. Emma felt more connected to Jack than ever, knowing they were united not just by the cafe, but also by their respect and love for John. In the days that followed, Emma and Jack talked a lot about John and their shared memories. "He was an incredible man, wasn't he?" Emma said as they flipped through an old photo album. "Yes, he was, and he always spoke so fondly of you," Jack replied with a smile. These conversations brought a new understanding and depth to their relationship, solidifying the partnership and friendship they had built. With Jack's secret revealed, Emma felt a renewed determination to make the cafe prosper even more. "Let's make this place a symbol of John's legacy, a place where people can connect, learn, and grow," she said, full of enthusiasm. "I agree, Emma, and we'll do it together as he wished," replied Jack, feeling equally motivated. The deep connection between Emma and Jack became evident to everyone around. The cafe staff noticed the synergy and passion with which both worked. "They make quite a team," commented one of the employees, observing them. "And that makes all the difference here," replied another, admiring the cafe's transformation. With the secret revealed, Emma and Jack were closer than ever, ready to face any challenge that arose. "We're doing this for John, but also for ourselves and everyone who believes in this place," said Emma, with a sparkle in her eyes. "Yes, Emma, this is just the beginning of something really special," agreed Jack, holding her hand firmly. Together, they knew they could turn the cafe into a lasting and inspiring legacy. Emma never imagined that accepting a job as a caregiver for an elderly millionaire would change her life so much. From a young woman marked by a difficult childhood and without financial prospects, she transformed into the owner of a thriving cafe, a cultural center, and a living legacy of her dear friend John Thompson.